Hey guys, Ronnie here. This week's episode is brought to you by NelsieSpencer.com. Everything Nelsie Spencer and Losing It is on NelsieSpencer.com. There you can find links to Nelsie's book, movie, and classes. Take Nelsie's writing classes or get one-on-one coaching and sharpen your writing skills. Take classes like screenwriting class and novel writing first draft. If you'd like to support the show, grab a couple things at the Losing It merch store where we have mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, hats like this one, the one I'm wearing, and much more. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out links to NelsieSpencer.com and other things such as the links to our equipment we use and all our social handles in the description down below. And if you want to contact us, tell us you love us, hate us, want to tell us you're losing a story and possibly have Nelsie read it on the show, email us at losingitcontact@gmail.com.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. If you got a story, we don't care if it's happy or gory, so come share your losing it story with us.
Yep. Try it.
All right, we're recording right now.
Hi.
Oh, we are? I was waiting for the countdown.
Oh, I already did.
We're already recording?
3, 2, 1. Wait.
Welcome to Therapy Thursday. Brought to you by Losing It with me, Nelsie Spencer, and Ronnie, Whaley, and the amazing, wonderful, licensed clinical social worker, Heidi Haddad. Hi, guys.
Can you do that again?
No, I can't. So, Ronnie, how much did you hate that?
I'm numb to it all. Nothing affects me anymore.
Yeah. Well, we're working on a theme song. And until then, that's
is that one of the categories that go under what's up with that?
Yeah, Ronnie's.
What's up with that?
Yeah. Ronnie's just going to come to Heidi and say, yeah, I work with this woman. And she just spontaneously sings, and she's always talking about her hair, and is the lighting right? I don't know. She's a lot of work.
He thinks it's recording.
So, hi, guys.
Hey.
Don't everybody jump in. I'll say hi to Heidi first. Hello, Heidi.
Hello, Nelsie. How are you? Using one of my voices.
Oh, she's so talented. She's got her Saturday Night Live audition next week. Ronnie, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, so last night on Twitter,
let's hear it, baby.
Last night on Twitter, my prompt was nothing because I can't see it. My prompt was, so sorry, something about, oh God.
So professional.
Number one
here.
issue for people is communication. Where did you learn to communicate?
Oh, that's a good one.
So,
and what'd you get?
People had some interesting things to say, like a few people were commenting that they over-communicate and that people tell them that they over-communicate and that they're afraid of miscommunicating, so they over-communicate. Now, over-communicating in my worlds could mean a lot of different things. Are you saying the same thing 1,000 times? I was walking down the street. I mean, like I was hustling down the street. I mean, like I was like sashaying down the street. You're like, who gives a shit? We got it. There was some movement down the street, right? And is it that kind of over communication? Is it beating a dead horse over communication, where the point you need to process something and you're talking about it and you just can't?
Right, and the person on the other end of the phone is like making a noose, like the nun in Airplane, and just ready to hang themselves because it's like, oh my God, we get the late. Heidi just left. No, I wasn't talking about you. I was not. I was really making a point because I feel like that happens.
I know you weren't talking about me.
Oh, okay. Well, you got up and left.
How am I supposed to interpret that?
Let's talk about it.
Oh.
What do we think?
What do we think? What? Oh, what do I think?
Not an appropriate time. Got it. All right. Nelsie,
okay, so
sorry, I'm
anyway.
here. Yes,
So
like the noose. Cut that out, Dino. So,
he has
so-
no idea what he's cutting out.
yeah.
you
I have-
living.
I have
awkward,
something
me
to-
disappearing.
Wait, Ronnie
gonna
has
say-
something to contribute. Go.
Well, this I was gonna say. Actually, no, I'll just say it after. It's unrelated.
Oh,
But
Ronnie, stick
I
with
do.
the tips.
I do
We're-
have friends who do this. They over-explain to try to in the efforts to connect, right? But then they don't let the person connect. As in, like, they'll try to say something, try to express themselves, and then the other person would be like, "Oh, do you mean like this?" Try to level, right? Mm-hmm. And then they'd be like, "No, not really," and then try to keep expressing something, and it's kind of like, well, the whole point is to are you trying to explain something, or are you trying to connect with someone? You know what I mean? What is the intentions for expressing yourself, right? You understand? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, but you could be doing both. You could be doing both simultaneously, and or you could be doing one or the other, depending on your intention. True. I want to tell you a story. I'm not trying to connect with you. I want to tell you what happened to me. And I'm hoping you can understand what I'm saying. I want to be understood. I want to be heard. I want to be just
Yeah,
that.
but isn't that connecting? Is that not connecting?
I mean, obviously it's a form of connection. Otherwise, why bother even saying anything? But
just to hear yourself talk, which is what many people do.
No. Right. I mean, it runs the gamut, right? You've got somebody who shows up and says, "Oh my God, this thing just happened to me." And they're not looking to hear you talk about how it happened to you. They just want to speak tell their story and be heard.
Yeah.
Where you could say, "Wow, that really stinks," or "Ow, that was amazing," or "Ow, that was amazing." That doesn't go together. I mean, it can,
Ow,
but that
was amazing.
Ow, that's amazing.
Ouch. Yummy.
It happens, though. That happens.
It does.
Yeah.
It does happen.
So I think it depends. But when somebody else says you're over communicating, and now that we're talking about it, and I'm thinking about the fact that somebody tweeted that, and then other people joined in with, "Yeah, me too." I get that a lot. Also, I'm now realizing that it really could mean a lot of different things when someone else is saying it to them. There could be also people that just don't have the patience to listen to the story, so they think that the other person's over communicating and says, "Can you wrap it up?" Which is rude, by the way. But they say, "Can you wrap it up?" And it's
It
not
is
a matter
rude,
of-
but sometimes you have to do it. And I will say this because sometimes with my husband, who I adore, I'll be on my...
Who leaves the condiments out.
Yeah, leaves the condiments out. But I will be on my way from one room to the other, and I'm recording something, or I have a client, and he'll start to tell me something, and I'm like, "Honey," and he's like, 10 seconds, and then he'll start to talk, and I'll literally be counting in my head, and then I'll stop. I'm like, "We're up to 45. Okay, we're up to 45 seconds, and I gotta go." And I get that there's a pandemic, and I get to talk to people all day, and it's just him, like, talking to himself or the dog. But, and sometimes I'm like, I literally am, you gotta wrap it up. You gotta wrap it up.
You have to. Doug should call me.
Doug should call me.
I think Doug needs to make a call.
Yeah, and there are other
I'll
times.
help Doug.
Okay. There are other times where I have all the patience in the world, and so yeah. So sometimes people over-explain, and I'm sure I over-explain. And don't you think, Heidi, sometimes people over-explain when they're like trying to talk about something that they think is difficult, or they want to sort of confront somebody about an issue. So instead of being simple and to the point, they sort of talk around it and that kind of thing. Don't you think that happens sometimes? That's where over-explaining
Communication
happens.
is a complicated thing because people. No, let me back up. Communication is not complicated. All the people's stuff behind it is what complicates it. So somebody's desperate to be understood and has an enormous amount of insecurity and fear that they don't articulate themselves well, and so then they are over communicating. Some people are who knows what the baggage is behind, what the story is behind that is pushing forth the intention of communication. And then some people just don't know how to communicate at all. And then, and also we grow up in a society where there's a lot of you play, it's your fault. I feel this way. You've done this to me, and not a lot of responsibility taking, because we're taught that it is somebody else's responsibility to create the feelings that we have.
Right. You made me feel this way.
Right.
Or you need to make me feel secure or better.
Right. And I think, and also what was coming up last night were people's concern about how other people think of them, which plays out in how they communicate. Worry that they won't be received the way they want to be received.
Yeah.
Then I said, am I making sense? And then some people were talking about how they've discovered that when tragedy strikes, people don't know how to respond.
What do you mean?
Nothing? Ronnie? Nelsie? Meaning,
well, no, I
like
know
if there's
exactly.
a death or something like that, and people don't know how to engage with you, so they just check out.
Yeah.
Or they make jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think that definitely happens. And I think that one of the things that I've experienced is
Tell us, Nelsie.
first of all, I think I've gotten better at hopefully knowing what to say when tragedy happens. Like, I'm so sorry, just simple. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss, which I didn't make up or anything. But also, is there anything I can do? And that's also a really important thing to say. But one of the things that I've noticed when, Brene Brown, she's like the vulnerability queen. She's done all these studies about vulnerability, and that's how she came on the map, I think, because she did a TED talk about it. And now she has a podcast. But she talks about how important it is to be vulnerable. And one of the ways we're vulnerable is communication and talking about our feelings and talking about what we need and all of those things. But she also said, after her initial thing about talking about vulnerability, you have to be smart about who you're vulnerable with, because, you don't want to. Not everybody knows how to respond to vulnerability. And one of the things I was going to say is that being an incest survivor, and sometimes when I bring that up, people do not know how to handle that, and not that they should. It's a subject that most people don't talk about. And so when you bring it up, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. And of course, then I'll really backpack. I'm like, no, I'm fine, really. And I am fine. But
in what scenarios are you just bringing? I'm sorry, I'm having this image of you at a cocktail party.
Yeah. And so when I was 5 and Daddy, pass the escargot. Yeah, no. Usually when I bring it up, it's like in line at Starbucks. It's not an inappropriate place.
I'm glad that you, because you've listened to Brene and recognized your audience, so you recognize I have to be smart about it. Starbucks is excellent choice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who doesn't know? Have you ever met a barista that didn't have full? I don't know about
barista, but you've got a full line of people who are on their phones with their headsets on, who are absolutely present.
You pour your heart out at Starbucks a lot, Ronnie?
It's the only place to do it. These days.
Starbucks has really created a beautiful community.
Yeah, they have. And in New York, they've created a bathroom that you can use if you're
That smells really bad.
It's the New York public bathroom now.
I will say that I usually bring that up when it feels appropriate, because if I'm working with a client who's working on memoir, and it's clear that they're sharing, they're being vulnerable with me, and I realize that there's a lot at stake, and I take my time, or I think I'm smart about it, and I'll bring up, that I also had trauma or didn't grow up with the perfect childhood, and I don't know. And now as I'm saying all this, I feel like you've never brought it up at the right time, Nelsie. It's always inappropriate.
What is the right time, honestly, for that, though?
Yeah, that's a good question, Ronnie. Yeah.
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when you're coaching someone and they're having trauma, that you self-disclosing your own is the appropriate time.
I think it is. I mean, I think it has been mostly because I want to create a safe space for them, and I sort of want to match their vulnerability to a certain extent, and
level with them.
Well, what I want to say is, I've been down a similar road that you've been down. I'm with you. I support you. I can help guide you through this, and I hear you. So I don't know.
Can I say the downside of that? I don't know if this happens with you, but the downside I find with that is that if somebody thinks that they're aligned with me, I then think that they're putting their story on me. Rather than me feeling the empathy from them that you're intending and understanding, I'm thinking, I don't know exactly what your story is, and I don't know if you're putting your idea of my trauma based on yours on me. Yeah. And versus having somebody just show up in a really empathic way of saying, just to your original point, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Yeah. And I'm so sorry that you went through that. And that must have been so painful and hard, and validation and empathy and all of that. Right. And compassion, where somebody just feels you showing up and being present. Yeah. They don't need to know that you also, I don't think that they sometimes need to know that you experienced your own level of trauma in order to understand and be compassionate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also how you processed it, how another person processes or understands their own trauma doesn't mean it's the same for someone else.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I can't go back in time. I've done what I've done. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Turn back time.
If I could walk away. All right. So, wow. So we went down a road there. Communication. So which is funny or interesting because...
Don't ever say that again.
Communication. Because Heidi always says communicate, communicate, communicate. So Ronnie, where did you learn to communicate? How do you think you learned your communication skills?
Right here. Oh.
Two very
right
wise
now.
Women.
I don't know. Honestly... I don't want to talk about it.
Fair enough. You sound like me.
I'd prefer not to communicate about it.
Take the fifth.
All right.
All right. So, then I'm going to say some other things that people talked about. One person wrote, I thought growing up you were supposed to be seen and not heard. And even as an adult, those younger were to respect you and be quiet. Never have understood this logic. And I just wrote, we all deserve to be seen and heard, always, at any age.
Boom. Drop the mic.
That's it. That's the end of that story.
Yeah.
But that's not the end of the story. I have to say that there's just this, actually, you know what? That's a whole other can of worms, parenting. It's another day, another story.
Whole other can of worms.
But there's one more that some people were talking about the love languages and having different love languages in their relationship. And because the two people in the relationship have a different love language, the one person asking me the question was saying, that way for my partner is difficult for me. What do I do? And how do I deal with my deficiency? And I was saying, you're not deficient. You have a different way of speaking or communicating. And just it's about practicing. And the beautiful thing about what he was saying is that the two of them are communicating about it, right? That they have actually read the book to even understand that there are these love languages, to then determine this one's yours and this one's mine.
Right.
To then
and this
say,
is maybe
I'm
why
going to try and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic.
I know. Don't beat yourself up about it. Good job on you for actually getting to that place.
Good job. Yeah. And I certainly, I do feel like I need to circle back to children are to be seen and not heard, because my parents' generation, definitely, that was it. Kids are supposed to be seen and not heard, which is so mean-spirited. Jesus Christ. And my mom used to make the joke, why don't you kids go play on the freeway? Swear to God. It's like, really, Mom? Huh. Okay. So, yeah. And
sorry, Nelsie, that happened to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi.
While my mother did not say that to me, she has done her own damage. No, she hasn't. Just kidding, Mom. You're
Just
great.
Just kidding, Mom. Love you, mwah. Love you, 1, 2, 3, mwah. So glad my parents are dead. Let me just say that. Let me just
Oh my
say,
God.
what a relief. Oh God. No, I do miss my mom. I miss my mom on occasion.
Okay, we're moving on. So somebody else wrote, I think I sort of just stopped giving a shit what people thought of me. It allowed me to express what I was thinking without fear of judgment. Also a productive way to communicate. Ronnie doesn't agree.
Okay. See, because I've been in places. I've been in situations where someone has just said something just really harsh, like publicly to someone else, and be like, I don't hold back. I'm just me. I'm just honest. I'm like, I
agree with you.
Yeah, like there's still like decency. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And my response, you could do what I do. My response was throw in some kindness and hopefully you'll be heard.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Ronnie.
You know what I mean? You don't have to be a dick about it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Heidi wrote. Just make sure you're not a dick. Make sure you're not.
Not that we want a sidebar here, but the other day I was calling somebody a dick. I was thinking like, why hasn't that been canceled? Like we have this thing, like it's not okay to call somebody a pussy. I know it works. It's effective. I'm not disparaging that. I'm just saying the fact that we use the member, your
the
sex
sexual member. Mm-hmm.
to describe someone whose behavior is unkind, untoward, if you will, and that you're a dick, you're a big penis. Right? That's what you are. You're a big, fat penis. Or the other side of it, like, why do we go to genitalia? Why are we so disparaging of the genitalia as a form of...
Right. Why do we use genitalia as a way to put someone down? Right?
Thank you.
Versus like...
Talk about over-communicating.
You are such a big dick. You're a delicious big dick. Right? It should be a compliment. It should be a compliment.
I feel like men should empower it.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, men don't empower their penises at all. They really should.
Yeah, really. That's a problem.
Should really
That's
reclaim your power.
Reclaim the penis power.
But I'm proud of my, friend. Like, dude, you're a huge dick, man. I love you, dude.
My God. What
Listen,
a dick.
yeah, I understand and I enjoy and appreciate the use of the word.
Yeah.
However,
should we redefine it?
I just was thinking the other day of like, why is that still acceptable? And why hasn't somebody been like, you really shouldn't call somebody a dick? Just like you're not supposed to say pussy, or you're not supposed to, not that you're not supposed to. I don't know who's got the rules.
Oh, I don't know who's got them, and they keep changing. And I wish that I could just get a daily update because I don't know. It keeps changing. But no, I hear what you're saying. And I think it makes sense given that we live in this society was initially puritanical. That's how America was founded. And certainly the Philippines with the Spaniards and that Catholic background. There's all this guilt and shame around sex. So the sex organs is something that you use it as a term of derision because there's shame around sex. There you go. Figured it out. Thank you. Thank you.
Why is Monica Lewinsky always trending? Every time I look at the Twitter, which we know isn't that often, I see Monica Lewinsky trending.
Is she? For what? What did she do?
I don't. Technology.
She's probably got some good PR people who were like, let's get her trending on.
So I clicked it. I hit it. I know nothing, but I just hit the word, and then somebody tweeted, Monica Lewinsky deserves every good thing in life.
I don't know, but I'm glad you brought it up during the...
Oh, because she's an anti-bullying activist. Sorry, I needed to read below. Right. Somebody else wrote, anyway. Monica Lewinsky continues to pump life into my veins with these damn tweets.
Oh, so she's got a Twitter feed that's doing really well, right?
I guess, but then the thing that she requoted, the woman's name, Mad Woman, right? But it's like a requote tweet. Just has eyeballs from Monica.
Okay.
This was going to one of those.
You so derailed us, Heidi. You just we were trying to re-empower the
over to
penis
scrolling on
and the
Twitter.
pussy, and you just went down a Monica Lewinsky rabbit hole, a Twitter
But I
rabbit
just
hole.
want you to know, so she has the eyeballs, 86.3 thousand likes. Okay, just saying.
86.3
Wait,
thousand.
Then
likes.
it says, that she's got eyeballs, and then it says, Uber facts. What's the most high risk, low reward thing you've ever done? That is what got 86. That's it. That's just a retweet of that. 86,000.3 likes. I'm sorry, I totally switched to our other cat. I can't. The Twitter machine is next to me, so I got distracted. Okay. All right, you guys.
Okay.
Last night on Twitter, we're going to wrap that up.
Okay, so last night on Twitter, and guys, how you learn to communicate. You know,
Oh, wait, one more.
us.
Somebody
Go.
else talked about how do you communicate with someone who suffers from depression and anxiety, a partner.
How
Ronnie,
to what?
answer.
Communicate? Oh, well,
With
that's
someone
funny.
with your
I
partner
relate with
who's
that.
depressed and anxious.
So my ex-girlfriend had to deal with that all the time. You know, it's crazy. And it was one of the reasons why we broke up, because she was like, at the end of it, she was like, I don't want to be responsible for being there for that. You know, like I have my own life too, you know, which to an extent I get that. And, you know, as a person, you know, as the, like, you know, the depressive or anxious person, it's hard to, you know, because one of the emotions when you go through something like that, or when you go through an attack or something, is isolation and loneliness, right? So you cling to the closest thing next to you, but the person that's there isn't always prepared or willing, you know, when it's not, you know, when they don't understand, then it's hard, you know, it's hard because it's hard to go through that alone, but it's also hard to be there. Just
Meaning it's
at
hard to
any
go
point.
through the depression or the anxiety alone, but it's also hard to be the partner of somebody who's going through
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like you have to, it's a lot of that. Communication is obviously super key, but it's also, you know, the willingness, you know, to understand on both ends, you know.
Mm-hmm. Where's the accountability?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Who does the accountability land on in the partnership? Is that what you're asking, Heidi?
No.
Okay.
Ronnie,
Okay,
do you understand my question?
I thought that was that, but so I don't understand.
Ronnie, Nelsie, can we get a different Ronnie and Nelsie? Dana.
Ronnie, can you replace Nelsie? Nelsie, can you replace Ronnie? Okay, thanks. Great. Yeah. Welcome to Therapy Thursday with me, Heidi Haddad.
I don't understand. Accountability for
your own mental
depression.
health.
For your own, right?
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Right.
True.
Right.
It's true.
So it's not Ronnie's job, or the person who's suffering from whatever, depression or anxiety. It's not their job to worry about the other person, and vice versa. We have to be responsible for our own mental health. So if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, get some help in some form. Yeah.
Learn some tools. You have to
tools.
learn some tools to manage your anxiety and your depression, whether the tool is partial medication, or just learning some ways to take care of yourself in that moment. It's not that you need to be, a person who's suffering needs to be alone, but if they are doing a good portion of the work themselves, and they have some tools in place, let's say, and they're having a panic attack, where they're able to say to their partner, I'm having a panic attack and this is what I need.
Yeah.
Right. And that person can then show up for that, which is to support you, and so that you don't feel alone, but not manage you.
Yeah.
There's air quotes there.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that there are people who, if you're suffering from anxiety or depression and you're not taking responsibility for it, and by responsibility, I mean recognizing that there are things that you can do yourself to make yourself to
help yourself, right? So you don't. So when you're in your head and you're spiraling, you can use some of the tools you've learned to stop the spiral. And also within that, you're communicating with your partner that, say, sometimes I trip out and I'm in my head and I think the worst case scenario around this, and
I've learned these tools and I'm trying to utilize them. Hey, sometimes if this happens, sometimes I could use XYZ from you when I'm in that moment, you know, or.
Yeah, but that takes understanding from the opposite end, because I've been in the situation where I have to say that, like, yes, sometimes I do spiral, but then I do this, but then sometimes I'll explain, like, I need to put myself in a scenario where I can be in a safe place for, you know, until I can pass this. And then some people would just be like, just don't do that. Just don't think that. Just don't spiral. Like, wouldn't that be so easy?
Right. Well, of course, there are people that don't understand anything about it. And I'm not someone who's an anxious person, but I don't just naturally know it. I mean, I've learned tools now to help others who are suffering from that spin out, but I can't relate to it.
Yeah. And so can't relate to the anxiety because it hasn't been one of your things. Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes when my mother's spinning out, you just backhand her. Yes. That helps, right? But I wouldn't do that with my clients. I'm saying to you, Ronnie, one, she's an ex-girlfriend, so that should be an indication. But two is that if you are taking care of if you're
side of the street,
if you're taking care of your side of the street and communicating with the other side of the street to say, like, sometimes this gets a little messy, but this is what I do to manage it. And I'll do my best to communicate with you when that's happening, whatever it is, I mean, this is very broad. And that person says, I don't get it and I can't deal with it, and is not engaging you in a compassionate, loving way, then that's about them, not you. And that means that relationship isn't necessarily going to be fruitful for you.
I mean, honestly, that whole thing, it's interesting because it kind of, that whole like spiraling and like suffering anxiety, that extent of anxiety only blossomed within the relationship. And it was very new to me. Right. It was very new to me, but it was also like half a year in during the relationship, we both moved to New York together. Like, we lived in the Philippines our whole life, and now we moved to New York, and there was a lot of pressures and, a lot of new things. And it was something that I found out about myself, that I can physically react to my emotions and stuff, like, which has never happened before. And there's also mental health awareness is not as prevalent in the Philippines or in Asia as it is especially in the US. Right. So it was something I just did not understand at all. And, I would have conversations with my dad, and he couldn't understand. He couldn't connect. He always thought it was something else. Like, oh, it's because you're not doing this. You're not being responsible. And it's just that he just wasn't as well versed in that, culture or whatever. And it was something I didn't understand. And then when I was having like my mental break in 2018, I had no idea what was going on with me. I thought I had like a brain tumor or something, because like, every day was tunnel vision, anxiety, panic attacks for 8 hours for a month. And then I had a friend tell me, it's adrenaline, constant adrenaline in your body. And I'm like, no, it's something physical, because the mind is not that powerful. And then when I saw a psychiatrist, and he was like, he gave me like a checklist, a pamphlet, and then it was like 80% of the things I checked, and he was like,
check.
All right, so here's Klonopin. And then he taught me the concept of awareness, which I had no idea anything about that. Like, just being self-aware, and then also meditation, which is something I always thought it was like, some mumbo jumbo, until I did it for the first time. And when I did it for the first time, I passed out. Like, I fainted because my blood pressure dropped like intensely, Yeah. And those are the tools I had to figure out because I got to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It was a weird time.
So,
that's intense,
but
Ronnie,
that's fantastic though, Ronnie, that you took care of yourself that way.
Also. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have to credit the people around me, honestly.
They're like, dude.
Honestly,
you need help.
My friend, because I wasn't responding to anyone.
Is she
on my phone.
He or she American or?
Yeah, American. Yeah.
American.
Was she from these great states of America?
Well, what happened was I was going through this thing, and I was having like chest tightness every day, and I couldn't eat. And then I just stopped like texting people because I was like, something's fucking happening. And then I started getting this weird phobia where I couldn't step outside my apartment. Like I would just get so scared to step outside of my apartment. So I would just stay in my apartment and like Uber Eats and stuff. And then like my room was such a mess that I didn't contact anyone for like 3 weeks. And then my friend like just had to barge in and be like, what the fuck is going on? And then he just found me just like, you know, eating some Indian food in like some like a horrible room, and he was like, "You were
in a
booking
fetal position."
Yeah,
Get out of here.
exactly.
Go away.
And in like the dark,
Go away.
and stuff. And I like put like cardboard on windows and stuff because I was like, it was so
honey.
bright.
Wow.
And then he was like, "We need to book
Step
you."
away from the samosa. Do not touch my vindaloo.
So he booked me a psychiatrist the next day, and then I found
this
out.
person.
Yeah, I found out that there was just something, you know, wrong in my mental, rather than, you know,
I don't know if it was a just.
Well, no, he thought it was a physical thing, is what he said.
I thought it was
So
completely
and he didn't
physical.
think that his brain had
Right.
had that much power. So to
No.
learn that it actually is
absolutely not.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tracking, Nelsie.
So for those of you who would like to have therapy with Heidi, you see how compassionate and sweet she is.
Excuse me. This is me listening to Ronnie. You're like, you're making fun of him for the fact that he.
No, it was
Yeah.
actually just a misunderstanding. It was a misunderstanding. I wasn't.
That's
making
what
fun
you
of him.
call it. That's a nice way to.
No, but what I want to say is, Ronnie, I'm so impressed. First of all, I'm so sorry you went through that. But also, I'm so glad that you had this friend that was just like, came in and you know, really saw that you were really in trouble and took the right steps and really helped you profoundly. And then also, I don't know, it seems like you turned shit around pretty well.
Well, I mean,
Right?
I've learned the tools, you know. It's not like it's gone away, but it's definitely something I can live with now. Before it was something I thought I could just not live with. Like, how do you live a life like this? But it turns out, you know, there are ways to cope. And also, I'm super thankful for my friend.
I think that I also want to acknowledge that not only, and I think you were kind of saying this, Nelsie, is that not only did you're lucky that you had friends that were looking out for you and showed up in that really lovely way, but that you were able to do the work that you needed to do. There are plenty of people that even if their friends showed up, they wouldn't be able to do the work.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I was super desperate, honestly.
it doesn't matter.
You think sometimes it wouldn't. Yeah.
Makes no difference. I think that it's just to me it's a level of consciousness, right? Like how conscious are you of a person that you can receive information and what's it called? Integrate.
Take advantage of it, integrate it, yeah.
Integrate it, right.
Also, don't you think sometimes, Heidi, that because it's like, you know, help is there for people who want it, not necessarily for people who need it, because there are plenty of people who need help but are invested, or they're getting some sort of payoff from being in the trauma or being in the drama or being so, you know.
Yes, totally. And I guess my narrative about that is that the people that are have very young souls are the ones that aren't able to see and receive and integrate. And so many people can be stuck in some sort of mental illness hell, and those that, I don't know, just have a level of soul consciousness that that they're closer to the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
They can see the light more easily, so that somebody's like, shining over here, come this way, and other people are like, the light's bright, I'm going the other direction.
Yeah. I'm going to stay here because it's shitty, but it's familiar.
Right.
Yeah. It's shitty, but I know it. I know how to navigate this. Yeah. Well, Ronnie, how are we doing time-wise? I feel like we might have just
We're 40 minutes.
I think we did it, kids.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Now, see, I have to say that I don't want you to say that anymore. We did it. We did it. We did it.
This one, you know what? This one sucked. I hated it. It was stupid.
How about not that?
and
Not
boring.
even just like, I don't
I
think we have
think
any
we
more
did it.
time. We don't have any more.
We're
we
out
have
of
no
time.
more time. We're out of time.
We're out of time. We're out of time.
But I really
And,
wanted to know about Ronnie's TikTok rant.
All right,
Ronnie's
I
got a
got 'em.
TikTok rant. Can
We do
can
it.
we?
We'll
Let's
save it
do
for the
another.
next one.
Let's do it next week.
We'll save it for the
Yeah.
next. We'll save it for next week. It's not like we're going to run out of weird shit on TikTok,
No.
right?
No.
No, no.
Correct.
Ronnie said definitively. All right, guys. You've been listening to Therapy Thursday with me, Nelsie Spencer, beautiful Ronnie Whaley, elegant Heidi Haddad. She is on Twitter every Thursday night. You can also reach her on Twitter at Head and Heart Therapy or Heidi Haddad. And you can reach us at losingitcontact@gmail.com. You can DM us on Instagram at Losing It Podcast. You can make a comment right down below if you're watching us on YouTube and ask us questions. You got a Therapy Thursday question? Ask it. How's your communication? Who'd you learn to communicate from? Did they do a good or a bad job? I think that's it. Is that it?
I think we did it.
Again, she's got this character. We're going to have to name this. I think we did it. All right. That's it. We're done. Adios, motherfuckers.
What was that face, Nelsie?
Cue music. Cue music. We're done. Goodbye.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it,
Bye.
losing it, losing it, losing it. You came and you listened to the story. I hope so much that it didn't make you sorry, and I hope so much that you'll come back again.
Losing It, hosted by Nelsie Spencer. Produced by me, Ronnie Whaley. Theme song by Hunter Williams. Follow us online on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all podcasting platforms at Losing It Podcast. Viewers can email Nelsie with questions or comments about life, writing, comedy, or even your own Losing It story for a chance to be on the Losing It Podcast at losingitcontact@gmail.com. For everything Nelsie and everything Losing It, visit us at nelsiespencer.com.